A wetland is an intermediate ecosystem between the aquatic and the terrestrial, made up of humid, semi-humid, and dry portions in which a wide variety of fauna and flora is concentrated.
They are key to climate change. They are refuge for thousands of species. They regulate water cycles. They support life. They are very important for stabilize greenhouse gas emissions because they absorb and store carbon or natural form. Whether continental, coastal, or man-made, 40% of the world plant and animal species live or breed in wetlands. 25% of wetlands are threatened with extinction, including waterfowl, freshwater dependent mammals, sea turtles, and coral reef building species.
30% of terrestrial carbon is stored in peatlands. Peatlands, mangroves, seagrasses, and salt marshes store carbon and matter for climate action.
Between 1970 and 2014, population of fish, birds, mammals, amphibians, and reptiles decreased by 60%. Of the 30 million hectares of wetlands identified in the country, Colombia, about 7.2 million have already been transformed by livestock, deforestation, and agriculture. The COVID-19 pandemic has emboldened land grabbers and illegal gold miners since the end of March this year due to diminishing state presence and self-imposed isolation of vulnerable indigenous communities who have long served as stewards of this forest.
The impact of the inadequate development of cattle raising and extensive agriculture and the loss of vegetation cover in the Amazon has led to river dolphins being affected. Only in the case of Colombia last year, 138,000 hectares of natural forest were deforested in this region, which negatively affects the fish that consume the fruits and seeds of the flooded forest and triggers a shortage of supply for carnivorous animals, including river dolphins.
Black Cayman. Today, it is not only in extinction, but its abundant population represents a vital support for other species in this environment. These animals form pools to ensure the provision of water in season of drought. It launches a sophisticated mechanism using lakes and snow to remove vegetation and manure remains from these holes, turning them into true clean water oases. Their lilies float on the surface and tutters, ferns, and other vegetables. Species grow in the margin, so without these animals, this variable process is lost and stops contributing to a better ecosystem.
An estimated of 40% of the world species live in wetlands. For example, the lakes of Tarapoto in the Colombian Amazon are the refuge of endangered species such as river dolphins, the black caiman, the pirarucu, the manatee, and the jaguar. However, a quarter of all species depend on the wetlands. Evaluated by the IUCN Red List, are in danger of extinction.
Wetlands provide water and food for people. They are the main source of fresh water. More than 1 billion people, including indigenous people around the world, depend on them for their livelihoods. The world's cities depend on them for their water supply and mitigation of flood and climatic phenomena every time bigger. On the coast, the mangroves act as a natural barrier that minimizes the impact of tides and ocean currents when there are storms or hurricanes. They also protect the soil against erosion. They also function as natural sponges that absorb and store excess water in the rainy season, and in the dry season they release it.
Spectacled bear. They usually live in forest areas. It is the only one in South America, identified in territories of Colombia, Venezuela, Bolivia, Ecuador, and Peru. The main cause of their situation is due to human factors, specifically the expansion of the agriculture frontier.
TT Gray. It is a common tamarin primate from the north of Colombia. It is currently found in forest regions of the Andes and the Caribbean, although its population is being dramatically reduced due to habitat loss and illegal species trafficking.
In Colombia, it is on the red list of threatened species under the category of vulnerable to extinction, due to the removal of their wooded homes and human bullets. When they hunt or displace their natural prey, jaguars look for other sources of food, such as livestock. That is why the peasants attack them.
Spider monkey. Despite the measures taken for its recovery, this primate continues to be on the list of critically endangered animals, mainly due to loss of habitat and hunting.
Cotea turtle, on the way to extinction, affected by trafficking of species for mascoting or consumption and degradation of their habitat, the river. The Hycotea turtle is a representative species of the Caribbean swamps between Colombia and Venezuela. It is found in muddy and shallow environments, usually quiet with a large amount of aquatic vegetation to feed.
Poisonous frogs. It is another species in danger of extinction because it is one of the most trafficked within and outside the country. 424 poison frogs died in April last year in El Dorado, when a Colombian tried to take them to Brazil and later take them to Europe on behalf of a German citizen.
Cotea turtle, on the way to extinction, affected by trafficking of species for mascoting or consumption and degradation of their habitat, the river. The Hycotea turtle is a representative species of the Caribbean swamps between Colombia and Venezuela. It is found in muddy and shallow environments, usually quiet with a large amount of aquatic vegetation to feed.
Iguana. It is characterized by being one of the largest species among lizards, without taking into account the predatory factors in its natural habitat. The green iguana is in danger of extinction due to the constant indiscriminate hunting by human beings who tend to catch them in order to kill them and extract their meat for sale or for the manufacture of shoes, belts, and various accessories. Using the skin of this species as raw material.
Not all species that are taken to rehabilitation are lucky enough to return to their natural habitat. Some arrive with very bad health, with dehydration, stress, and malnutrition due to the extreme conditions of captivity and traffic, since they are put in suitcases, cardboard boxes, and plastic tubes. The wetlands are in serious danger. The panorama is negative. The scientific estimates show that since 1964% of the planet's wetlands have disappeared. The loss is even bigger in some regions, especially in Asia. Although the inland wetlands are disappearing at a faster rate than coastal wetlands. As a result, access to fresh water is declining for between 1 and 2 billion people in the world. And the flood control, the carbon storage, and traditional livelihoods related to the wetlands are also affected.
What factors are driving this loss? The compulsive growth of private neighborhoods, clearing and the use of agrochemicals, the increase in temperatures, cessation of rains caused by climate change have been a very detrimental combination for the integrity of wetlands, ecosystems that until recently they were erroneously considered grassland or areas. Beside that,
Increased agriculture and grazing, diversion of water through dams, dikes, and pipelines, drainage for forest uses, social logging was responsible for a significant proportion of the loss of wetlands.
fires and polluting waste, advance of urbanization and the increase in the use of fertilizers and pesticides. Infrastructure development, particularly in rivers, valleys, and coastal areas. Air and water pollution and excess nutrients.
On the other side, there is a connection that exists between the sewage pipes with the rain pipes. This means that through the channels or rivers that are supposed to only carry rainwater, they end up carrying combined waters, and these end up reaching the wetlands of the city. The problem of spilled solid waste into wetlands generates terrible damage to the ecosystem. We see thousands of bottles, bags, packages, appliances, furniture, among thousands of things thrown directly into rivers, wetlands, or rainwater sewers.
Developing policies that take into account the ecosystem services provided by wetlands and integrating them into land use planning, increased agriculture and grazing, restoring wetlands that have already been degraded, developing sources of funding for conservation of the wetlands.
Utilizing all remaining wetlands in a rational manner, meeting human needs, maintaining the biodiversity and other wetland services, educating others about the benefits of wetlands.
How to help animals in danger? Avoid pollution by opting for ecological alternatives such as using public transport and recycling waste. Do not introduce invasive exotic species that alter the order of the autochthonous. Do not consume products that come from illegal traffic of animals.
Avoid and or report the mascotings of exotic species. Participating and collaborating, for example, as a volunteer with associations that protect and defend endangered species in Colombia, or in the creation of programs and conservation measures for these species. Share information with people to raise awareness about the importance of conserve the environment and the species.